What's poppin'? Welcome to this week's edition of Rumble House Sports. I'm your host, Jay.
And this is Chris.
Hey, man, I know what y'all thinking. Where is Red McMahon? Hey, unfortunately, he couldn't be with us today. He's not feeling too well, but hopefully he'll be with us next week. But this show is big, man. Look, the wrestling wars are officially here. Look, I tried to act like they really wasn't there, but it's been a crazy week for both AEW and WWE. I mean, look, so this all started with Vince McMahon and SmackDown because they were going to be on FS1. They added an extra 30 minutes to the end of their show, and they were competing directly head-to-head with AEW. So not only did Tony Khan say that Raw sucks, he then goes out to add an extra 30 minutes or adds a 30-minute pre-show to AEW Rampage on YouTube, okay? So at this point, it goes from 30 minutes head-to-head to an hour head-to-head, man. And then Vince McMahon says, we're going commercial-free. And Tony Khan says, look, we're going commercial-free for our final 30 minutes or for the 30 minutes to open up the show. We have more money than they do. I can actually afford to do this longer than they can. So we're going commercial free as well to open up their WWE or their AEW Rampage on TNT. Look, man, the wrestling wars are in fact here, man, and it is in fact a lot to pack. Where do you stand upon this? Who do you think won the Friday Night War?
Man, the Friday Night War. Man, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I mean, look, here's my thing when it comes down to it. I feel like that I love AEW, okay? I really do, and I'm rooting for AEW. But the Friday Night SmackDown card was stacked. Not only was it stacked, but I think that the head-to-head matchup of matches that WWE put on were better than the matches from AEW. Yes, AEW put on the dream matchup of Suzuki versus Daniel Bryan. And yes, it was a very technical match. And yes, they did a bunch of reversals.
I didn't care about that.
But the thing is that they were going head-to-head against the Usos and Street Profits, high-flying people that gives incredible matches.
Montez Ford is different. Montez Ford is different, bro.
Montez Ford is nice,
bro. When that dude did the flip off the damn turnbuckle, bro, and then both the Usos landed on his feet and shook the camera.
Yeah,
that dude, bro, Montez Ford, and that's what people been saying, bro. Like, they think that they're gearing up to break up the Street Profits eventually and let Montez Ford shine on his own, bro.
He's good on the mic. His promos are excellent. And his wrestling skills are great as well.
His wrestling skills is great. His in-ring, like his athleticism.
And then if you think about his wife, Bianca Belair, she's been killing it in the singles women's division.
Bro,
so I think that'd be great.
I need them to get him a singles title run. You know what I'm saying? He needs to shine because this dude, Montez Ford, is different. With that being said, I know that ultimately the Usos won after one of them, I don't know which one it was, Jay or Jimmy, that put Montez Ford through that damn table.
That was the thing. That was the thing.
Wasn't he just out after that? Like, he was just out?
Yeah, but here's the thing, bro. And that was the other thing I wanted to say. This was more Extreme Rules than Extreme Rules.
Yeah, I know,
Get the table!
Get Montez! Get the table! I have to say, man, I enjoyed that more than the Bryan Danielson and I keep on botching his name. Suzuki. I keep on botching his name. Sorry. Oh, okay. Suzuki. To me, I just feel it was over theatrical. To me,
I can understand that.
It was just the
I'm tougher than you.
I think they did too much with the trading turns, with the hits and stuff. It was just it was just too much. It was just a little over. Instead of just going out there and wrestling and letting their talent speak for it, I think that it was just a little too much over there. So I fairly enjoyed. To me, the Street Profits versus the Usos was a more believable product.
Now I will say that one of the issues that WWE has
was a more believable fight, and not
right.
so choreographed.
I can definitely agree with that. Now I will say one of the edges that AEW has is not having so much. Let me get in the ring and taunt for 20 minutes and then get off and we'll go to the next segment. Because what led me to even watching Daniel Bryan and turning off WWE, because I was watching it at the same time, it was super difficult to do. What led me to kind of turn off WWE for a second was because Seth Rollins was in there talking about not being Edge light and going back and forth with Edge, or not really going back and forth. He was just taunting Edge from the ring. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go watch some action. And I tuned in, and Daniel Bryan was
you don't disrespect the visionary, bro. You do not disrespect, bro, the revolutionary, bro. You don't do that.
Look, that's my only thing. But then you go to the flip side, and the other matches that they had paired was CM Punk versus Matt Sydal and Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. People don't understand that WWE women's division is crazy, and they put on arguably close to the match of the year with their performance. Becky is such a great performer. So is Sasha Banks. Bianca Belair was sitting on the sidelines. I just didn't care to watch CM Punk win again, I guess is the whole thing, versus Matt Sydal. But it was a good match. Don't get it twisted. CM Punk and Matt Sydal was a good match. It just wasn't as explosive as the WWE matches were. And even the crowd, you can kind of hear, they just wanted, their crowd wanted AEW to win so bad that they were chanting, "This is awesome," within the first, 3 minutes of Daniel Bryan and Suzuki wrestling. And I'm like, they didn't do anything yet.
Right,
and
exactly.
it was, I'm sure it was awesome from the standpoint of it being the dream match, but nothing had happened for them to say that. It seemed like they were just trying hard.
It wasn't my dream match. I personally felt like that Suzuki and Moxley was a lot better. I felt like
I agree. I agree.
I just felt like the crazy, schizophrenic, weird, you know what I'm saying, unhinged personalities of both.
It just matched so well.
Both of them just matched a lot more than Bryan Danielson. You know, Bryan Danielson is a smaller fighter. You know, he's I don't know if you could call him a high flyer, but he kind of is. You know what I'm saying?
Essentially, yeah.
Essentially, because he's a little guy.
He does the goat face drop from the top of the rope.
Right, exactly. He ain't doing Montez Ford shit, but you know what I'm saying? Or Rey Mysterio at his prime, but you know, he's still, you know, he could be.
Hey, Rey Mysterio is called the GLOAT, the greatest luchador of all time.
Wow,
he's called
that
the GLOAT.
Is hard, bro.
Greatest luchador of all time.
And he is.
He is in fact that.
He is, bro.
Now, see, my issue with AEW, and I've said this before. Again, I'm actually pulling for AEW. I want them to win these wars, but my issue with AEW is that while, and I've said this before, but while WWE decided, okay, we're gonna put our young superstars, because we know that the Usos are young. They've been with the business for a bit, but they're still young. And then we know that the Street Profits are new. Becky Lynch and all of them, while they've had like 5 or 6 year runs, they're new, right? They're still young talent to the WWE. They put on their young talent and the biggest draw, while AEW put on, we took your superstars and we are going to make them more important to our brand than you made to your brand. So it's young, fresh, I can't say fresh, but young, star-driven, big draw talent versus ex-WWE superstars. That is my issue. Why not try to, you could have used Adam Cole, you know what I'm saying? You could have used Darby Allin. I'm going to continue to say that. Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara. You could have used those people in those matches, but I get why they use CM Punk and Bryan Danielson.
Right.
But I'm just saying.
An argument can be made. Why are we super excited about AEW? Why are we super? Because Bryan Danielson and CM Punk's name is tied. They're connected to WWE.
That's a fact.
Why are the fans excited and crazy whenever they do these surprise returns to the professional wrestling business? Because because of their past work with WWE. Why was everybody going crazy when Jon Moxley made his appearance on AEW? Because of his connection with WWE. So, for every punch that you can throw at WWE, the same punch can be thrown at AEW back as an argument to say, well, why do we even care about AEW right now? Why? Because they keep getting WWE talent. That still speaks to WWE in a sense. Whenever you really didn't necessarily have to do that, don't get me wrong, it helps because, they're still marketable. CM Punk is marketable. For them to bring him back after 7 years of not fighting was genius. Bryan Danielson is still a very high marketable person because he has a huge loyal fan base. But when you got ingrown, homegrown talent like a Darby Allin and people of that sort, those are the people that you need to keep continuously pushing. And other people that they have. Now they have Ruby Soho. AEW has Ruby Soho, but the reason why we like talent. Ruby so much is because of her days with WWE. So
that's what I said. They gotta stop. Because if they don't, they need to take notes. Because if they don't, they're going to do what WCW did. WCW kept bringing ex-WWF talent in, and they ultimately folded because then nobody wants to see the old washed-up wrestlers.
It's all about your homegrown talent, and with people that's not necessarily connected to WWE. What they're doing with people like Suzuki and people like, the Inner Circle and people like that. The Inner Circle. You know what I'm saying? People like
American
that.
Top Team.
Homegrown, homegrown, what's the word I'm looking for?
Is that homegrown
gimmicks. My bad. Gimmicks.
Yeah, homegrown gimmicks, right.
Homegrown gimmicks. When you can do that, man, people will actually start caring. I'm loving what I hope they don't screw it up with Montez Ford, but that's homegrown. Somebody that actually has talent and they're putting out there in the faces in front of people. Now, hopefully they do it right and break him from the Street Profits and let him get his own shine because he has that type of skill. But that just goes to show you what WWE has constantly did right year after year with developing new talent. But they got to chill out with bringing the old people back.
Yeah, we get it now. We get it now. You can do it. That was a great, spit in the face of WWE, but we get it now. Now go ahead and do yours. So if I had to pick a winner with the Monday night or the Friday night wars, I'm going to have to say that WWE took it. That card was just phenomenal. Now you would think that the owners are the only people taking shots, but they're not. As Roman Reigns did a recent interview with Complex, and they asked him about the competition and his thoughts on CM Punk, and his thing was, hey, look, I don't see them as competition. I really could throw all of them out of the club when it comes down to it. They have a built-in fan base, which that doesn't make any sense. The fact that they have a built-in fan base actually helps the claim. But he says they have a built-in fan base, and that kind of makes them have a ceiling because WWE is trying to reach everybody, the casual fan, the blah, 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 blah. But what AEW did was they were able to grab the fans that quit watching wrestling because of what WWE did, and that's what AEW is capitalizing on. But Roman Reigns says, look, we're more believable. Nobody's believing that CM Punk, who is 200 pounds soaking wet, with zero explosiveness, who got his tail whooped in MMA, Ain't nobody believing that what he's doing is believable or whatever the case is. Me, I'm a legit athlete. I'm 263 pounds or 265 plus. I'm 6'3". Like, I could have maintained in the NFL had my health not, hindered me. And at that point, they are just the little brothers. Do you agree with this?
I agree with some of it and some of it I don't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter that CM Punk failed as an MMA fighter. That doesn't matter. What matters is he's a good professional. He's a great professional wrestler. And people buy whatever he's selling. He's good. He's good on the mic. His promos are legendary. Coming to the ring and crossing his legs, or coming to the come out ramp, crossing his legs. That particular promo is regarded as probably top 5 promos of all time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So they're buying the professional wrestling fans are buying whatever CM Punk is selling. So I think that it's kind of irrelevant that he's saying like, oh, well, it's kind of not believable or whatever the case may be. Daniel Bryan is a small guy. Is it believable that he'll beat up most guys and most big, huge guys in a fight? Real fight?
It's not.
You know what I'm saying? No, he's a real small guy. But the WWE universe got on his side and got behind him because of what he was selling. That's right. What you call an authentic push. An argument can be made that whenever you at first broke up with the Shield, your push wasn't authentic and they just wanted to get you out there. Now,
and it didn't work. To be fair, it didn't work. It didn't work at first, which is the reason why Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley, became so big.
Right, exactly. And them trying to do the whole thing with set him up with The Rock and everything. WWE fans don't like it
this
whenever
Tribal
somebody
Chief storyline is kind of fire though.
Huh?
The Tribal Chief storyline, the head of the table, is kind of fire.
I'm getting to that. WWE fans don't like it when they feel like somebody is constantly pushed in their faces without having an organic push. That's right. You know what I'm saying? Or organic rise. That's what Daniel Bryan had. He had an organic rise. Now Roman Reigns with the Tribal Chief gimmick and the head of the table gimmick, this feels more authentic. Them pairing him up with his cousins. This feels more of an authentic storyline. And who's going to take that next crown? Them having the WWE having Roman Reigns beef with his own family to see who would take that crown at the head of the table, because we know that family is wrestling royalty.
They are.
That seems more authentic, and this is why Roman Reigns is having the success that he's having right now, because it feels organic. Whatever CM Punk did and whatever Daniel Bryan did, that was an organic rise, and that's why they are successful in this business. So some of it I don't agree with, but I do feel like that. He does have a little bit of a point. And I felt like I see where he was trying to go with that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a point, but I do agree with you. What he did, what he did in the MMA does kind of matter, right? Because you said F the league, essentially, I'm going to go do real fighting, and you didn't quite measure up. And same thing that happened with Brock Lesnar. WWE, this is all fake. Let me go do the real thing, and your record wind up being like 2-3 or whatever the case is, 3-2.
I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying in terms of being a believable person, because he played in the NFL. He had a good football career, and then his health conditions is what ruled that out for him. So I get what he's saying from that aspect, but I just ultimately believe if the fans are buying what you're selling, then none of that matters. This is professional wrestling. This is professional wrestling.
And if you can get them to believe you in an age where the curtains are pulled back literally upon everything, you're doing something right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think, like I say, I love the fact that we're literally in the middle of this wrestling, these wrestling wars. Now, you would think that it actually stopped there. But wait, there's more. Look, last week, me and Red McMahon talked about who won the WWE draft. And I said that probably it was SmackDown. Not only did they keep their biggest talent, when we talk about the Usos and Roman Reigns, they also called up Hit Row from NXT. And look, I said that this would be huge. I'm happy that they're going to be in the under the bright lights, but Top Dollar decided to take a shot seemingly at AEW, as he said, your favorite wrestlers only wear sneakers to seem hip or cool, but outside the ring, they wear Asics and Vans exclusively. And this comes shortly after CM Punk did the whole complex shopping with, or did sneaker shopping with Complex, and he spent about 18 grand on kicks, which to CM Punk's credit said, look, I never was into sneakers. I didn't have enough money to be into sneakers like that, so I can understand why people would be into sneakers. But there is a whole situation in regards to that. But, he was like, hey, that ain't me. But really, this all stemmed from, I believe, it was just the timing was crazy. This all stemmed from the Young Bucks. They had a situation back in April where they were wearing some Dior ones, right? They were $10,000. The sneakerhead saw it and was like, yo, these are fakes. The swoosh is too close to the midsole. Look, a lot of y'all said, but people, oh, why does it care? Why does it matter? You worried about this, talking about Top Dollar, you ain't even been to the main roster yet. You starting all of this. They made way more money than you. Young Bucks talking about, yo, we spent more money on sneakers than the entire NXT roster. But it was found out that they were fakes and they were, trying to make them out to be new. Is this a big deal or no big deal?
Of course it's a big deal, especially in the sneaker community, especially if you buy fakes and they fakes and you're trying to put them out there as real. Like you said, the real sneakerheads, they're going to know. They study these things. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Even as far as they're able to smell a pair of shoes and know that if it's the jinky glue from the factories,
that's kind of wild.
If it's the jinky glue from the factories, from the janky factories where they're doing fakes and producing fakes, or if it's the actual legit factories that's producing them. So, and then the whole thing with CM Punk, man, it just came when he cut his promo and he pointed out his Jordans. It was real disingenuous. Yeah. And you could tell, because I've seen the Jordans whenever he came out, but him pointing out the Jordans just seemed real disingenuous. And you could tell he just did it because it was one of his first shows that he had on some Jordan 1.
And he gave them away. He gave them away, to be fair, to a kid.
Okay, he gave them, right. But still, it just seemed real disingenuous. The people that come off as real sneakerheads are the people that you constantly see come and show. I'm going to get there. The people that you see coming show after show with people like Roman Reigns coming show after show with Jordans and coming with Travis Scott's and Enzo Amore. Enzo Amore, who comes show after show with Jordans, and Shane McMahon, the GOAT of wrestling. He wrestles in his Jordans. Yeah. This dude literally wrestled in Jordan 3s and he wrestles in Jordan 1s. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So Shane McMahon is the GOAT for sneakers inside of professional wrestling. So when it comes off as genuine like that, I love it, man. But when it comes off as just a genuine and you just doing it just to do it, or whatever, to get some,
they're trying to connect. Talking. And the thing is, people may say, okay, but y'all just said, well, if it's believable to the fans, then that's all that matters. But unfortunately, there's a real sneakerhead culture out there.
Right.
That's the issue. There is a real, there are literally people that spend hours in lines and hours online trying to get a certain pair of kicks.
Exactly.
And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I can tell whenever I see Roman Reigns come into the ring and I see what's on his feet, because he doesn't fight every show, but he comes out there and he cuts a promo pretty much every show. And so
acknowledge me.
Yeah. So I'm looking at. So I'm acknowledging the sneakers on his feet. You
Yeah.
feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm watching the heat that he's wearing to the ring, and I'm like, oh, this dude wearing Travis Scott's. This dude was just wearing Brand 11s the week before. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, but the thing, and the reason why it matters so much is because it was bragged about that the Young Bucks spent $10,000 on these shoes. They were kind of making it. And even in the whole situation, there was a whole promo and it was like, oh, well, CM Punk is trying a shot at the Young Bucks lifestyle, right? So that they had this whole gimmick. It's just like, if we found out, which I'm sure this was the case, but if we really found out that Roberto Del Rio did not have all those cars, we would be disappointed.
Right.
If we found out Eddie Guerrero did not have all those cars, we would be disappointed, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's what makes a gimmick great. We talked about how the Undertaker, even out in public, would wear his getup because he wanted that to transcend outside and inside the ring, right?
Yeah.
So when you're forcing that type of a gimmick, that's your type of lifestyle, well, it does matter when we find out that they're fake. It does, because you're trying to tell me this is the lifestyle. You know, limousine. If Ric Flair didn't ride limousines and didn't ride private jets,
exactly,
it would matter to us.
Ric Flair was really had Rolexes, and
to the point where the hip hop community recognizes this man.
Right, exactly. When we talk about styling and profiling and Rolexes and ring wearing and gators and Ric Flair,
trying hard to keep these gators down.
Yeah, Ric Flair really was that. Fake Watch Busters used to be this really big time page where they would bust celebrities' fake watches that they would try to posts on Instagram and social media, and Fake Watch Busters will call out celebrities for fake watches. They never called out Ric Flair. Listen, every time, they never did. Every time Ric Flair would post one of his Rolexes, Fake Watch Busters would post it and say, here's a real-time piece,
hey, Ric Flair piece
from the legendary Ric Flair.
He the GOAT, bro. Ric Flair the GOAT, man.
I'm just saying, when it comes to swag, and they say that when it comes to stunting and swag, Ric Flair is one of the originals. A lot of rappers act the way that they do because of inspiration from Ric. I heard the Migos pointed out Ric Flair as, you know, one of the originals for drip. You know what I'm saying? And one of the originals for stunting.
Right. Yeah, man. So, you know, I know people are going to jump on Top Dollar and they was like, you know, you ain't even made a single dollar. They make more money than you. Understand Top Dollar actually played in the NFL for what I think about 4 to 5 seasons. His net worth is literally Googleable. He probably still cashing
I'm spending that money.
I'm
spending
sure.
That money.
You know what I'm saying? He was able to pivot. He was seen recently with Dave East. So you know what I'm saying? He has respect within these streets, man. And I know, you know, people, wrestling fans, a lot of wrestling fans ain't gonna get it. I understand that because they're into wrestling. So a lot of that doesn't really matter. But to the casual fan or to those that actually take, you're the resident true sneakerhead on this show. So those things matter. You've stood in those lines to get those shoes. You've spent the resale value on shoes. You know what I'm saying? I got my collection as well, but that's why it matters so much, you know, and they're like, why are you talking about somebody's shoes? Because these people really got on stage and acted as if their shoes were real. Acted as if they were real. So when you
that's why you gotta stay humble. That's why you gotta stay humble, man. Especially if you know they fakes.
Yep.
You know
exactly.
Fakes, don't get out. Don't get out there. You know what I'm saying? Don't get out there and try to stunt, and don't, you know, just do you. Wear your fakes. Just do you, and don't draw attention to yourself. That's where you get called out, is when you try to draw attention to yourself and try to act like, you know, you spend the big money out here and I only pay resale for sneakers.
Right.
Well, if he did pay resale for those, and that's why a real sneakerhead knows if you're gonna pay resale, then you gotta do your research to make sure you're not getting fakes.
Yep.
Like you gotta know if
And that's
you're
the
gonna pay
thing.
resale.
And that's the thing. They said that they probably did pay 10 grand for those, but
but
they
that
still
makes
paid.
it even worse. That makes it even worse.
Exactly. So
if you pay,
that's what Top Dollar is saying. Like, you paid that much money for shoes and you didn't even know that they were fakes, and you acted like they were real. Like, don't just do this to try to connect with an audience that when they find out this fake, you're not gonna have them no way. They already gonna check you because we know our culture. That's what people don't understand. We know our culture. Then they tried to roast.
It's a different story. Yeah, it's a different story whenever you're actually a sneakerhead and you're wanting to buy a new pair of sneakers and you're like, yo, I can wear this on the next show. But even if you didn't, it wouldn't matter to you. You just go wear them to Walmart. You know what I'm saying?
Right, like, exactly.
So it's that's different from saying, oh man, I gotta make my presence felt and known, or I want to stun on some people. Oh, those are really expensive. Let me grab those.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. You know, so I mean, it is what it is. Like, people are gonna try to make it, and really the people that were going back and forth was the fans. The AEW fans was going at WWE fans, and they were going back out at AEW, which makes this whole war thing even that much more great. So, needless to say, I'm even more excited to watch Hit Row when they hit SmackDown. If I'm not mistaken, it'll be this coming SmackDown that they're actually going to hit and actually be there, because the rosters will officially go into effect. The whole from the draft. So, man, shouts out to them. But yeah, man, this whole thing is heating up, and I love it when real life gets involved into wrestling life. Like, and when that line is kind of blurred, it's the most beautiful part about the sport, man. But you already know it's Rumble House Sports. It's your boy Jay.
And this is Chris.
And let's go!
Yes, sir.